G'day guys, and welcome to the weekly VEMA Trader Bitcoin market scan. My name is Rhys, and today I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on Bitcoin at the moment and where it could potentially be headed. So what we'll do is we'll head to VEMA Trader and we'll get started. Righto, so starting out on the weekly time frame, as we always like to do, it was a terrible week for Bitcoin last week. We had a huge bearish engulfing. So the week before, we saw a little bit of bullish momentum come back in. We got a bit of a bullish engulfing, sort of a bull hammer, could be either. Excuse me. And all of that hard work was undone last week. We had a candle that completely engulfed the previous candle. It even pushed a little bit higher and then got slammed down. It got rejected really, really strongly. So not a good look for Bitcoin at all at the moment. And just given, as I always say, if you zoom out, things look terrible, right? It is just hugely bearish, really no retracement. There's no bullish momentum coming into Bitcoin at the moment. Sorry. So what am I thinking from here? Look, there is always a chance that we do come back up to this sort of 29,000 level, right? That is kind of the next key level on the weeklies to the upside. At the moment, I think it's going to be down before up, rather than up before down. So we're still holding 18,500. We're still holding this level, but I kind of don't think we'll hold it for a whole lot longer. We're on the weekly time frame, so we could still sit here for 2 months, but I just don't really think we're going to stay above this level for the foreseeable future on Bitcoin. If we do lose that level, I think we'll probably see some capitulation. There is not a whole lot of market structure between here, right? If we go back to the Bitstamp chart, Bitcoin was really only in that region for a short time in the 2017 bull run. In fact, like the end of the bull run, essentially. So we've got, December to mid-Jan. So let's call that a month. I think it's about 6 weeks, let's say. 6 weeks of price action in that region is not a whole lot. And especially you can see when price came up through it here, it just pushed straight through. There was really no resistance, a little bit of resistance at 20K, which is essentially what we're sitting on now. And then it went straight through. So you'll often see when price moves through regions that quickly, it will move through them again really quickly if it approaches them again. And a perfect example of that is right here, right? Price pushed straight up from 20,000 to about 32. You've got a bit of market structure at 32. Let me get rid of that drawing tool. Bit of market structure at 32 with, that is not the tool I wanted at all. It is amateur hour today, guys, but that's all right. Bear with me. So you've got this sort of weekly EQ at 32, but you can see that on the way up, price just hammered through, right? 3 candles to go from 18,500 to 31,000. So, 13,000 roughly in 3 candles, which is a really rapid move. Now we're on the weekly, so that's 3 weeks, but that's still pretty impressive, especially when that's a 50%. There you go, nearly 70% move in 3 weeks. Huge. When Bitcoin came down, you can see that the 32 or 31 EQ held just slightly, right? We wicked down, got bought back up, and then when we broke it and retested through here, once it was confirmed a retest, we got a bear hammer, 2 candles. 2 candles to undo all of that hard work back down to 18,500. So that's what I'm talking about. When price moves rapidly through an area, it often moves rapidly back through an area if it gets back to that area. That, along with sort of just general market sentiment, I don't do fundamentals, but everyone seems to be fundamentally bearish at the moment. It all just kind of makes me think, if we do lose this level, and the key level is actually a daily zone that I'll show you guys on the next little bit, but if we do lose that level, I really think we might see capitulation. We might see a really short, sharp move down to here. Probably when you'll start to see, Bitcoin is dead articles and stuff making a comeback. There's probably some already floating around. I really don't pay attention to the news for Bitcoin, but if we get down here, you will see a ton of Bitcoin is dead articles. And if we ever get back up here, a lot of people will be laughing if they buy in at the right time. So that's what I'm seeing at the weekly. Let's take a look at the dailies. Righto, so now we get down to the dailies. Now, if you watched last week's video, you may remember me talking a lot about this EQ and this 61.8 level. At the time, we were sitting at about the 50, somewhere through here. And I was saying that the 50 could hold, but where I was really interested in shorts was the 61.8, or if I was going to be trading, because I wasn't really trading last week. 61.8 daily EQ, that's a level that I like a lot. And you can see we got a textbook, beautiful rejection from there. So that was really cool to see. I love fibs, big fan of fibs. It's always good to see them working. pair them with the daily EQ, that is something that I love to see. So really solid rejection from there. In terms of what I'm thinking when I look at the dailies, we are holding this demand zone. Now it's not a demand zone that it's a strong demand zone, right? That was a huge buy up out of it, but it failed to break new market structure and we've come straight back to it. So look, it's still holding for now. Excuse me, it's still holding for now, but yeah, we've bounced a little bit and then comes straight back to it. You'll often hear me say like consolidating above support is bearish, and that's kind of what we're doing at the moment. A lot of my trades, let's start taking along from here, right? A lot of my trades, if they don't bounce really strongly and keep going, they end up just stopping me out. And this kind of looks like one of the ones that would stop me out. Not every time. It's very rarely every time in trading, but more often than not, the trades that consolidate above my entry do not go on to become winners. So there is always a chance that we do head up, that we do bounce, but what I kind of think is more likely is heading to the downside. To the downside, if we make it through here, we do still have the weekly demand zone, right, which is what this red line is, the top of that zone. I don't know that I'd expect that to hold. You can see previously we wicked kind of straight through it to a daily equilibrium. Now, the level that I was talking about before is a daily demand that we formed on the way up. So through here. Now, there's actually a bunch of demand zones you can draw in here, right? We've got one there. We've got one there. All of those are valid, but they just sort of clog your chart. I'm not going to be trading any of them. And I really feel like the weekly level is the key. If we lose this weekly level, there is a chance, and I spoke about this a long time ago when we first came back to this level, there is a chance that we hunt this zone in particular, because you've got to think if we push through that weekly level and everyone gets super bearish like I am, right? I keep saying if we lose this level, we're going down. Really good place to stop out a bunch of last minute longs and get some panic selling happening for the big boys to buy up at about 16,000. So that could happen, but to be honest, I'd be impressed to see it, right? If they did that. I was talking to someone about pokies the other day, and I think pokies are a scourge, but I also think that whoever invented them, I'm impressed, right? I don't like them at all, but it's impressive, how good some people are at taking money away from other people. And that's what the big boys like to do. That's their job. So there is a potential that they go hunt a bunch of stops down there and bounce it up. I don't really feel like that's likely, but who knows? Could be done. So those are kind of the key levels for me. The 17,000 is the level that I am most interested in, right? If we lose 17,000, unless it is kind of that stop hunt, liquidity grab kind of play, I think we're gone. I think we're heading down to 11 or lower, and I'm not super confident that 17,000 will hold. It's in the face. You're talking about a daily demand level and not the strongest demand, right? It was a bit of a pivot. I mean, it's pretty strong actually, right? We had the pivot, we retested it, and then we went on a tear. So it's a pretty strong level, but in the face of this, I don't really expect it to hold. So that's my thinking on the daily. There was one other thing, and that was, let me get rid of the fibs to just sort of clean this up. And I might even, this is the problem. Once I start getting too many things on the chart, it does not work well for me. So let's get rid of the weekly. Because I'm going to need that in a sec. Cool. Let's just work with it. All right. So one thing that I just noticed this morning when I was charting was this. Let me just draw it horizontal. It's not going to be perfect, but you'll see once I go back to candle mode, it will look a little bit better. Cool. So Bitcoin is forming a descending triangle. Now, it's not my favorite kind of descending triangle. So for me, with patterns, I really like to see them form. Okay, I've never actually thought about this in words before, so it might come out really weirdly, but I really like them to see form after the end of the run. And what I mean by that is these two that I've used to draw this pattern are still mid-run, right? They're still on the way down. For me to really like this pattern, we would have bounced up from here and then rejected. Even if these weren't there, that would have been the kind of thing where I'm like, okay, that's a great descending triangle, right? Having some of the pattern mid-run doesn't mean it's invalid. It's just not my favorite way to have patterns. But you can see right now that that sort of trend line is being quite well respected. We've got a rejection there, and then, you know, the two from up here. Obviously the first one you can't call a rejection because that's the first point. A line needs 2 points, but then we got that rejection, and then we've had two since. So it's not ridiculous to draw this descending triangle in, right? Even though it's not like my perfect pattern, doesn't mean it's not there. The horizontal on the bottom, right, beautifully acting as support. Now a descending triangle is a bearish pattern, typically. And a descending triangle after an enormous bear market, not pretty, but a higher probability of breaking to the downside than to the upside, I think. Now, you know, I'm not going to short the breakdown of this pattern because there is a ton of levels that I think could act as support just below it. But I always like to have this big picture view of, okay, what's happening, what could happen, what do things look like. Seeing a descending triangle on the daily like this kind of just feeds into my capitulation theory, right? That, you know, we break down, we lose this, we're just going to head down. So that is what I'm seeing on the dailies at the moment. I find it hard to make a bullish case for Bitcoin. You know, if I had to, the only thing that's getting me slightly bullish is, you know, that was a big buy up. We're now retesting that zone, so we could see that zone hold and we start heading up. I feel like that's a lot of coulds, right? And trading is a lot of coulds, evidence probability. But I just really don't see much that makes me feel bullish about Bitcoin on the dailies at the moment. Righto, and finally we come to the 4 hour. So on the 4 hour, things are happening very fast. When I was just talking to you guys looking at the daily time frame, price was holding above this level. In the last 5 minutes, it has just eaten that zone completely. It has eaten a ton of the zone below it, and it's bought back up a little bit. You know, we have seen a bit of a buyback, but it's not great. It's not the kind of buyback that makes me feel bullish off a zone, right? There's still a long time to go on this candle. What do we got? An hour and a half. Yeah, if we do push back up and close above, it probably even has to be up there, really. Make it a really big wick, something like that. That would kind of get me a little bit bullish on the 4 hour. If we don't see anything like that, if we do close still down here, I don't think we'll go straight through. I'm not sure why, to be honest. Bit of a gut feel. If we close in here, then I think we'll probably go straight through. But if we do manage to close above, I feel like we'll hover around here a little bit and then just capitulate. Just one big candle coming straight through. Not likely, but things... I just can't make much of a bullish case for Bitcoin at the moment. So, anyway, that's not my job. It's not my job to make a bullish case. So, this is the kind of area that I love to see, right? 61.8, 50 fib meet. They meet with a daily... Sorry, they don't meet. They're parallel lines. They're never going to meet. They're in a similar region, which they kind of always are. But that was the worst explanation I think I've ever done. What I actually wanted to say was the trend line, the EQ, the 50, and the 61.8, all in that same area. That's the kind of thing I love to see. Throw in a zone. If there was a zone there, that is my bread and butter. That's the stuff that I love. So that is an area where I would be keen on shorts if price was to get up there. I don't really feel like it's going to, given the last sort of 5-10 minutes. But it could. What I think is probably more likely, if we do hold and come up a little bit, is we head to these zones. It's got to be more likely because to get there, we have to get to these zones. But I kind of feel like if we get here, we're going to reject and come back down. So these zones are reasonably strong, right? You can see this one here. It's pretty messy. It's probably like a 1 hour zone. If I wanted to go down and refine it, there's probably something on like the 15 minutes that would, match all these wicks. That's essentially what's held us. And then this one here is one that I like because it broke these lows, right? It led to this move, led to that break of that zone. So they're both reasonably strong supply zones, in my opinion. Sorry, I just realised that we're coming back down onto that zone. So yeah, there is still plenty of time on that candle, but it's not looking good. So that's why I kind of feel if we do manage to bounce up, I don't think it's likely we get through. If we do get through, good chance we head to the 50 and the 61.8, and then there's a bit of a good chance of a rejection from there, but I just don't think we're going to get there. In fact, there's an EQ as well. So, there is just a lot through that region. It's a pretty messy one, right? You could potentially draw lines like that, but it just starts to become a mess. So I'm just going to stick with the middle one for now. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing on the 4 hour. If we lose that level, it really is, that 17.2 is kind of the next key level. There may be some 4 hour zones through there, but I just wouldn't really expect them to hold, given everything. The 27 extension is an interesting one. So that's at 18,200. That is often well respected, but given we rejected off the 23.6 fib, if anyone's familiar with Donnie's springboard analogy, I would probably be expecting the negative 61.8 over the negative 27, right? That's big sell-off, really weak recovery. If we reject again, potentially another big sell-off coming in, right? It's just really showing that there's not enough buying pressure here to push price even 30% of the way back up, or I suppose it's 38, so probably 40% is better. But yeah, it's just not looking good for Bitcoin, is the long and short of things. So there are no trades from me this week. I am currently not trading. My mental health is not bad, but it's not great either at the moment. And as soon as my mental health is off, I just don't trade. It is just such an easy rule to have, because trading when your head's not right can lead to disaster. Like, money for a lot of people is hugely emotionally charged. It certainly can be for me at times. If you're trading from a bad space, you are a lot less likely to win, in my opinion, or I know I'm a lot less likely to win when I'm trading from a bad space. And then those losses really compound both financially and mentally, right? They really, it's like kicking yourself when you're down, essentially. If you're trading and you trade badly when your head's not right, you are essentially just kicking yourself while you're down. So, for me, really simple general rule. As soon as my head's not great, I'm out. I'll still chart. I do, I really enjoy, having a stat, predicting the market or trying to predict the market. I do enjoy that a lot. So I'll still chart, and I like to just, keep sharp, keep an eye on what things are doing, but I don't trade. So there are no trades from me this week, and that is it. Hopefully you guys are having a ripper day. Have a great day, happy trading, and I will talk to you very soon.